My entire team is weak to Lapras. We see a Lapras, so we got rid of the Lapras. Perfect. Now we're good. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we do upload PvP content every single day, so please consider subscribing to the channel if you're into that type of content. And if you're a returning subscriber like James Ferry, thank you for your support. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Giratina Altered Forme. And basically, first matchup here against ZQM FG. Basically, there's been a debate between Shadow Claw versus Dragon Breath. Personally, I really do like Dragon Breath, but I'm going with Shadow Claw and I'll explain why. So in this matchup here, we have a horrible lead against Granbull, so I switch out into Articuno, and the opponent's going to bring in a Scavalier. Obviously, a Scavalier is not the greatest counter for Articuno, so I'm pretty happy with this. Now, a Scavalier is going to be resisting the ice damage, however, we're also going to be resisting the charge moves that the Scavalier is going to be throwing at us, either Drill Run or Mega Horn. So the one benefit we do have in this match is that our charge moves will be doing the debuff to the attack. So we're in a pretty good spot here and I'm pretty content. Now going back to that Shadow Claw Dragon Breath thing, the main reason I'm going for Shadow Claw here is because my entire team is weak to Lapras. And yes, Shadow Claw doesn't really make much of a difference in that matchup against Lapras. However, if I switch out and come back in, there's a bit more play I feel with the Shadow Claw. And aside from that, I had been running into fairies the entire time before this set. It was just fairy after fairy, charmer after charmer. So I said, you know what, I'm going back to Shadow Claw. And if I did change the back line in this team a bit more, I would go for Dragon Breath for sure. But the way it is currently, I kind of prefer Shadow Claw. But don't get me wrong, I think Dragon Breath is definitely a great move and probably the better fast move for Giratina. So the opponent brings back in the Granbull. We did get the debuff with the Icy Wind, which is amazing because now I can bring in the Swampert and we're going to be taking reduced charm damage from this Granbull. So this is like going to be a close combat. I do not want to take that damage and I know he's going to switch out, so I choose to shield. Now let's see what the third Pokemon is. It's actually a Giratina Altered. So what I want to do here is get off this Earthquake because it's either command the shield or put it really low. And I'm fine with either decision the opponent makes. They do choose to burn the shield, so I'm going to instantly switch into the Giratina. Did not want to take that Dragon Claw damage on the Swampert because I need it for the Granbull in the back, because it's just going to straight go charm and I need to have as much health as possible on that Swampert. So I bring in the Giratina here. I'm just going to go straight Dragon Claw. I missed a lot of bubbles there, which is pretty embarrassing on the Dragon type move. But we do have a shield advantage here. So this Giratina is also running Shadow Claw, which is better for us because Dragon Breath would really be putting a hurt on us and the Swampert in the back. So very fortunate to be running into the Shadow Claw variant here on the opposing side. I'm going to go for another Dragon Breath here. And at this point, it's basically within farming range. It's going to Dragon Claws. I'm going to let it go because there's no point to use the shield here. Bring in the Swampert, try to farm down. If it switches out, that's fine too, because that Giratina literally can't do anything. It did switch out, so Granbull comes back in. As you can see, Granbull has quite a bit of health, but we have so much health on our Swampert, and this Hydro Cannon is really going to hurt the Granbull. So almost KOs there, and we could pretty much just farm down here, it looks like, and the Giratina is going to come back in, but it has no energy, so we're going to be able to take that game, despite the unfavorable lead with the Granbull. So we did come back to win that match. And Haida Toe 0724 is here in match number 2, going to lead Giratina into Cresselia. This is another situation in which Shadow Claw does play a favorable role against the Cresselia, performing a lot better than the Dragon Breath does. So there is a lot of merit to Shadow Claw. The thing about Dragon Breath is that it could beat Theolol and Muk, and it wins a couple other matches, really dominates Swampert actually. But you go with Shadow Claw against Swampert either way. And there's another matchup too that Dragon Breath does really well against. I can't remember what it is now, but it flips that match entirely. But the thing is that I like Dragon Breath a lot too as a switch in. Just because that damage on the switch is so incredible, and you can't really use your charge move because Dragon Breath is faster than it, so it'll register before you can click the charge move on a switch in. So here I choose to shield the Moonblast. At this point, I'm going to go for the Dragon Claw bait because Shadow Sneak would KO. So if they want to get off another charge move, they're going to have to burn a shield, of course. And they do. I was looking to see if I could farm down here. Just barely got there. If I didn't go for the Dragon Claw, it's possible maybe we could have farmed down. But I wanted to get the shield regardless. But here I do choose to burn the second shield. So we will commit to the farm down. We have a lot of energy now. Opponent brings in Obstagoon. Okay, so actually I think Obstagoon was the other Pokemon where the Dragon Breath favors Giratina a lot more than the Shadow Claw. Just because it might do more damage to the Obstagoon. Not really sure, I have to look at the sims, but either way, obviously Shadow Claw isn't doing anything to it. So I'm just trying to get off as much damage as I can here with the Dragon Claws. We actually got to 3, which is pretty amazing. And that's going to put this Obstagoon at about half health. So, well, not quite half, but very close to it. And it's over farming a lot. Almost got to another Dragon Breath, but it did correctly choose to use its energy right before we got to another charge move. And it still has a lot of energy, so I'm going to bring in the Articuno here, which is going to be resisting the counter damage. But if the Obstagoon gets off a Night Slash, and I don't know why I went for Cross Chop there, actually definitely should have went for Night Slash because just for the chance of getting that buff on the attack. So you should have definitely went for Night Slash there. Now they go for Night Slash. If they get the attack boost on this Night Slash, it flips this match entirely and Articuno actually ends up losing the match, which is pretty brutal. So I'm gonna go for the Icy Wind here, lower that attack, and they actually switch out into Swampert, which I'm totally fine with because if I could get to an Icy Wind, no, we're not able to, but this should still not KO. And we're going to be able to lower that attack, which is going to be huge for us because our opponent does have a shield advantage. And by lowering this attack, I'm actually going to make that Swampert mirror a lot better for us, even though they have a shield. So I actually don't switch out here and just try to get off some more Ice Shard damage because I know it can't farm me down, right? It has to, well, like it can, but it's going to take a lot of damage. Just look how much damage it took from those Ice Shards. And I know that the Hydro Cannons aren't going to be doing as much, so I was okay staying in that match. If I didn't lower the attack, I would have to switch out immediately because these Hydro Cannons would have been destroying me. But as you could see here, usually it'll take 2 Hydro Cannons to kill the Swampert. Because of that debuff from the Icy Wind, it actually is going to take at least 3. So they switch out into Obstagoon, and they are going to get off this charge move. Because they use their energy here, I'm going to commit to a fairly aggressive farm down. Depends how much energy they have. They go for the Cross Chop, and the switch timer is coming up here. So at this point, I did commit to the farm down because I needed enough energy for that Swampert in the back, knowing it had energy of its own. And I wasn't sure how much health it had left, I couldn't remember, so I went for Earthquake. But clearly it was in Hydro Cannon range, so either move would have worked there. But yeah, we end up taking that matchup, and we start off 2-0, head into match number 3 against the Man Dude 49. So we're going to lead Giratina into the Ampharos. Very spicy. Ampharos is really cool, but Giratina absolutely walls it. So they switch out immediately into Obstagoon, which of course is a very good option. And here I'm trying to decide what do I switch in, because I know Swampert will also wall the Ampharos, but so does the Giratina. So I decided to bring in the Swampert here. Even though the Articuno does get destroyed by the Ampharos, as long as I can maintain switch advantage, I'm pretty sure their third Pokemon is very likely going to be weak to the Articuno in the back. That's why I didn't bring in Articuno here. But if it happens to be like a Registeel, for example, this could backfire. But at the time of this, I was assuming that the Ampharos had Focus Blast, and maybe they were using that as like a kind of counter to Registeel or something, and they wouldn't have an actual Registeel in the back. I guess there are other things they could have, like Charizard as well, which would have been better to keep the Swampert for. But Giratina also does well against that. So they bring in Giratina. So as you can see, it was weak to Articuno. So I did make a good decision on that part, leaving the Articuno in the back. A lot of these matches come down to these sort of guessing games in which you just have to make a decision. Now there we did get the shield because our opponent did think that we had enough for Earthquake. So that's really good for us. They go for Dragon Claw, and obviously I'm not going to switch out here because I need to maintain switch advantage. Going to bring in the Articuno to take this Giratina, and I know for a fact that he's going to switch into the Ampharos, so I have the switch tray ready because I do not want to take anything from that Ampharos. So the Dragon Claw, I know it's coming soon, so I keep pulling up the switch tray. Here it comes. Switch out into the Giratina, and at this point I was feeling very comfortable because I'm like, okay, it can't throw anything at me. Focus Blast, resist it, Thunder Punch, Thunder, like we're good. So I chose not to shield. And here comes the Dragon Pulse. Totally caught me off guard. Community Day move, of course. Totally forgot it had that. And very surprised it's running it actually. because I would expect it to be running Focus Blast. So getting that shield now against that Giratina earlier on the Hydro Cannon was crucial now, because all we have to do now is shield pretty much, and Giratina will definitely handle the Ampharos. So, and I'm pretty sure this was probably an Elite TM Ampharos maybe? It is Purified, so pretty interesting. But here, I knew this was going to be a Thunder Punch, but I had to shield just in case it's the Dragon Pulse, because I cannot have the Articuno against the Ampharos. So I know if I shield there, no matter what the move is, we're gonna win the game. So we do farm down, and now we get this Dragon Claw to lower that Giratina a little bit. And now I'm gonna switch into the Articuno here. And I believe their Giratina is also running Shadow Claw, if I am seeing this correctly. Either way, Dragon Claw is not going to do much, and we are going to get off this Icy Wind, which is going to be a slight overkill on the Giratina. And we are going to take this match once the Ampharos comes back, and it has no health, so it just takes one Ice Shard there, and we end up taking that match. So Keenan 2832 is up next. And for those of you asking about my hat, I do not wear a hat all the time. It's just my hair is a little crazy because of the pandemic and everything, so that's why I'm wearing the hat. But yes, into this next matchup, Cresselia here. So we are going to just go Shadow Claw and Shadow Sneak rather. And pretty much we've seen how I play out this matchup. I pretty much just commit shields, and sometimes it'll only take one shield. I think it's very dependent on the IVs actually, but there are certain times where I'm actually able to win this matchup using only one shield, and other times where it does require me using a second shield if I want to maintain the switch advantage. So obviously we definitely prefer the times in which it's only one, but very IV dependent. So the Moonblast is going to come through here. Now if the Moonblast lowers the attack, it makes it a lot worse, of course. So you have to be very fortunate that you do not get hit by the debuff. In this case, we do not. I actually go here for the Shadow Sneak. As you saw last match, I went for the Dragon Claw bait. This time I'm just going straight for the Shadow Sneak. So they do use the shield, and at that point you realize I should have went for the Dragon Claw. But you know, it is what it is. Moonblast comes through here, and I do commit the second shield. And this is very interesting because it seems like this either I missed a lot of quick moves, rather I missed a lot of fast moves, or this Cresselia had very good IVs. But that match played out a lot different than the first one. So they maintain their shield, but we do win switch advantage, which is really great. And another Obstagoon comes in, and this has been a very, very common line I've been seeing a lot of. Basically this Obstagoon Cresselia sort of match. And as you saw there, I did actually switch out of that matchup because I did not want to get farmed down. So I gave up switch advantage, but I bring in the Articuno, and basically they counter switch into the Swampert, which is obviously amazing for us because that's not really a counter to Articuno. So at this point the match is looking really good for us, and it was a little risky switching to Articuno in case they have like a Registeel in the back or something. We could have definitely blew that game, but we did end up switching out and getting a favorable matchup here because the Swampert comes in. Icy Wind is going to come through, and this Swampert's going to have to start committing shields if it wants to stay alive. Clearly does not, so we're able to farm down here. Now we have close to enough for another Icy Wind. Unfortunately, we do not get it off, so this match is going to be extremely close now. And we did survive that Night Slash, but we weren't able to get to the Icy Wind still. A little bit slow there on the charge, or the quick move. Regardless, the Obstagoon is pretty healthy here and has a lot of energy. And we bring in Swampert. It still has a shield as well, so this is not very good. This is going to have to come down to either sacking the Giratina or trying to get off a Dragon Claw with the Giratina or something, but we have to do something. So what I want to do here is definitely maintain my Swampert, so I have to sack the Giratina. So at this point we have to start counting the counters. So as you can see, they come in very quickly. That was about 4 right there. So after I throw this Hydro Cannon, we should expect to see me switching out into the Giratina right about now. And we do. And basically this Obstagoon, it can't even just continue to farm down, because at this point it has to use its energy because it's in farm down range pretty much. So it does throw the Night Slash, which KOs. And we are going to beat this Obstagoon to the Hydro Cannon. If the Obstagoon actually chose to undertap, or undercharge rather, on that Night Slash, they may have been able to farm down the Giratina. Possibly, it would have been really close because it was so low itself. And then it would have had enough energy to KO the Swampert. But we end up taking that game. Duo Jet is up next in match number 5 here. And 4-0, and we see a Lapras. So, you know, very hard to come to 5-0. And I bring in Articuno. Basically, the only way I could win this matchup is if I land the Ancient Power. So, the opponent's not switching out here. And they go for the Ice Beam. I chose not to shield it. We have no counter, so I have to go for the Ancient Power. And literally, I only have one chance of winning this game, and it's getting the boost with the Ancient Power. So I throw the Ancient Power and we get the boost. So, amazing for us. Now I have to commit the shields because this match has completely flipped. Obviously, Lapras is still very favorable here, but now the Ancient Power is going to be doing a lot more damage, and we're going to be taking a lot more reduced damage, and the opponent still isn't switching out. So if I can get rid of this Lapras, we should be in a pretty decent situation because that's the biggest threat here. So Lapras is going to go in. This is going to be a Surf most likely because I'm so low, but I chose to let it go. It's actually an Ice Beam, and we did survive that. So it actually ended up being worse. If it was a Surf, it would have been great. But I go for another Ancient Power here, and the opponent does burn the shield. So now we are at even shields, but look at Lapras, it's so low that I can actually KO it with the Dragon Claw. So I wanted to save that shield. Dragon Claw, they have to either burn their second shield here or let it go. They choose to let it go. So we got rid of the Lapras. Perfect. Now we're good. Togekiss. So Charmer comes in. Horrible for us. Bring in the Swampert here, and things are not looking good. So just going to spam these Hydro Cannons, but honestly, this looks like a really uphill battle. And with that shield still on the Togekiss, it's going to be very hard. And they make a great switch into the Escavalier, which is going to preserve that Togekiss. But the Escavalier now takes a lot of damage from the Hydro Cannon too. So we actually get to a second Hydro Cannon. And now the Escavalier has to choose, do they want to burn the shield or do they want to take the damage? They take the damage, so they pretty much sacked the Escavalier. Togekiss comes back in, and we get to one more Hydro Cannon. So this is where the IVs do come into play here. You know, attack, low attack versus high attack. In that situation, you definitely wanted the low attack for that extra bulk, which allowed me to get off that Hydro Cannon, which burned the last shield. But we still have a very tight obstacle here, Giratina versus Togekiss. Shadow Sneak still hurts. So why did I shield there? Basically, the reason I shield there is because Togekiss damage against Giratina is purely Charm. So if I don't shield, it's going to KO me with Charms. Even though the charge move does nothing, I need that extra health from the shield. So here, unless it's Dazzling Gleam, we're in a very good spot. It's Aerial Ace, and we're actually going to be able to defeat this Togekiss, and that was a crazy win. Obviously, the boost helped us, but beating a Lapras and a Togekiss, losing that lead, very crazy. We end up going 5-0 in that set, and pretty impressed with this team overall. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.